right, Donovan, what do you got there? Besides the skunk, what is that big thing? What is that? What is that? What do you call that?
That sausage maker.
It's a sausage maker, that's right. Look at that big thing. And that's what the pioneers used to use. We got everybody watching, including skunk and possum. Okay.
She's Mary.
Yeah, okay, she's Mary the possum.
And that one's Daddy.
And Daddy is the skunk, imagine that. You guys know Daddy all too well. All right. Yeah, that's what you do. So here's what you do is, see, back in the old days, the pioneers, they ate a combination of what they grew, what they could find, picking berries and that kind of thing. And I'm talking about growing things like corn and that kind of stuff. And they also hunted for stuff like deer, and they also raised animals, including chickens and sometimes pigs and sometimes cattle. Cattle, they would have cows for giving milk, because that was a great way to get something that had a lot of fat and a lot of energy for them, protein. And sometimes they would slaughter their animals because they needed meat, because they couldn't grow enough just to eat vegetable stuff, or they couldn't hunt enough sometimes. So anyway, and people did die of starvation sometimes back then, so it was a real big deal. So what they did with this is they made sausage. And the reason they made sausage is because after you took an animal and you ate the main parts, as steaks, or you cooked a chicken or something like that, there was always a little bit left over. And they would take the stuff like the carcass of the animal, and they would make soup out of it. So they would try to do everything that they could to get every little bit of food they gave out of whatever they had. And this is sausage maker, where they would use intestines as a container. Like an intestine, like a little plastic bag kind of. And they would take everything that they didn't cook up, like in a steak or other cutting, and they'd put it with fat, and they'd make a big gooey, goopy, icky looking mix, but they would put all that in here. They'd put all that in there. And then they put the intestine on the end there, and then they take this part and they would shove all that stuff into the intestine. And then they tie off the ends, and then they'd have sausage. And then when they had nothing else to eat, no other meat, they would put that in their skillets, and they'd cook it. No, they wouldn't make, they made cookies when they could, but they didn't have flour all the time. And so then they would use that to make sausage, breakfast sausage. Or maybe they'd eat, if they were especially German or Polish, they might make kielbasa or something like that, and that would be their main meal. Yeah.
So cowboys did that.
Cowboys did it, yeah, and it preserved their food for longer, and that was really important because they didn't have grocery stores, and they didn't have food coming from all the way across the world. They ate really locally. People talk about eating locally today, but basically you ate whatever you could grow, or you could hunt, or you could pick, or whatever you could raise. And you saved everything you possibly could to eat. You didn't have much waste. You didn't throw things out because you just didn't have that much. And what you grew and what you raised was a life or death matter, whether or not you had food. Because you generally didn't have other people to come help you if you got into trouble. Not a lot.
The cowboy did.
Yeah, you had to totally rely on yourself.
On myself.
Yeah. You didn't have much refrigeration, so they tried to preserve whatever meat, whatever grains that they could.
I got a sausage.
Yeah, and when it came to fruits, they would make preserves. They would put them in little glass jars and try to save them that way for the lean months when the fruit wasn't hanging on the tree. And that's pretty much what they tried to do with sausage too. They would put it in a cool place so it didn't spoil, and that gave them meat when they didn't have any other meat. All right, you guys, you gonna make some possum sausage?
Possum sausage.
You're gonna make some skunk sausage?
Okay, put some skunk sausage on that.
Skunk sausage, okay.
And possum sausage.
Yeah. All right, well, that's our little lesson for today.
I want cookies.
Okay, we'll work on cookies. Isn't it nice that today Daddy can go down to the store and get some cookie batter and so easily just buy it and bring it home. We got our oven that's so easy to turn on. Back then everything was so much harder.
The sausage maker. Sausage maker in there.
Yep. All right, guys.
The